Mando Fandos, welcome back to the Mando Fan Show. I'm John. How are you? Thank you so much for joining us today. Joining me as always is Lacey. How are you, Lacey?
I'm back.
Back?
I was gone. I love Bill Burr. He was great. Not this episode, but
okay. Lacey, where's James?
He's on his way to Connecticut.
That's right. He is. He's in a tin can in the sky on his way to Connecticut. Probably listening to a podcast that isn't ours, but that's okay. He'll be landing soon and joining us tomorrow because it's the Rise of Skywalker Eve. But joining us today, you guys know him as a stage host for Disney and Star Wars Celebration. It is DJ Elliot Hansen. How are you?
What's happening? That's me.
Woo!
Well, not quite as warm an introduction as I'm used to.
Sorry.
I wish I had audience noise I would just play.
Yeah.
It's okay. My dogs are doing parkour in the background right now. So.
Well, Lacey will edit in canned laughter or applause too, and all that sort of stuff. So
there we go. Perfect.
It'll sound like an episode of Three's Company from like the early 80s.
Nothing but the best.
Yeah. Right. All right, guys. So we're here to talk about Chapter 7 of The Mandalorian, which was called The Reckoning. And we're calling our episode 7 of the Mando Fan Show, Kuiil or Be Kuiiled.
Oh.
Right?
You're such an idiot.
When I came up with it, I was like, Lacey's going to boo me right off the show. Like, I'm just going to disappear. Yeah. So yeah, Kuiil or Be Kuiiled. There you go. All right, so guys, let's do a little better than that by rating the episode on the Pedro Pascal face scale. Since we're never seeing his face on the show, we're gonna show it to you in a wonderful graphic here by our 0 to 10. Halves are included. Pedro Pascal face scale. So Lacey, why don't we start with you? You are a big time rater of these episodes of The Mandalorian. What did you give Chapter 7, The Reckoning?
So really quick, Elliot, I started really high, so I've kind of messed myself up for the whole season. So this is a 9.
So is this your second or third 9 at this point?
Yeah, I don't know if I gave something else a 9.5. I can't remember. This is a 9, but I'm saving it because if I really love the season finale, I can go full 10.
You may have given the Deborah Chow her first chapter a 9.5 or 9 or something like that. Yeah.
9.
Big fans. So you're excited about the Kenobi series. We'll get into that later, though, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because she's directing that whole series. That's cool. Mm-hmm. All right, so 9 there. Elliot, what did you give?
I guess I'm going to make the mistake and go 10.
10.
Yeah, man. I don't think I've disliked any of the episodes. I think they've all been 10s for me. But
wow,
welcome,
right.
Welcome to positivity.
Yes.
Well, I mean, it's funny because I've had the experience now. Obviously I live in Florida, so I got a chance to experience the new attraction, the Rise of the Resistance, and that was amazing. And Mandalorian's been amazing. So I don't really care if Rise of Skywalker is great or not. I've had a bunch of amazing Star Wars. Yeah, it'll just be extra. So
nice. So it's the perfect episode. My
Star Wars cup is full right now.
Yes, there you go. It's not even half full. It's just completely full of 10s. Okay. I actually gave this is my highest score of the season. I have breached the 9 region. So I'm giving this one a 9.
Well done.
Which rounds us out to 9.7 Pedro faces. Lacey, you're filling up that whole bar. Pretty much, yep. You're like right there. Yeah. So enjoy your 9.7 Pedros. And Lacey, we always ask our patrons on patreon.com/resistance broadcast to submit their scores, and
yes.
We average theirs together. So where were they at for Chapter 7?
They were at a 9.6.
Oh,
wow.
We were high for once. This is the first time this season that we were higher than them.
Is it really? Mm-hmm. I love that you're a historian for the Mando Fan Show. That's
You're
fantastic.
so welcome.
Yes. So 9.6 for the patrons. That's excellent. All right. Clearly the best chapter yet with one to go. Now, remember, if you guys want to be featured on the show every time a new chapter comes out, granted there's only one left for this season, send a tweet out using hashtag MandoFando. We'll find it and read yours on the show like we did for this person here, who is Rye at Jedi Master Rye. Clever. Very clever. Not as good as Kuiil or be Kuiiled, but, you know, what are you going to do? So they said Chapter 7 is a solid 8 Pedro Pascal faces, in my opinion. I love the part on the ship with Tiny, a.k.a. Baby Yoda, looking out for Mando. He has Mando's back. That's well put.
It's true. And he's the most adorable, angry person ever.
Did he, furrow his eyes at all a little bit there, maybe? Yeah, he looked like he maybe had a little bit of...
The best was when he picked him up and he was just like, what? What did I do?
Right. That's like my son when he takes the remote and throws it at the TV. What did I do? All right. This next one now, if you are a patron of the Resistance broadcast, you Lightspeed to the front and make it on the show without tweeting, just by commenting on the post on Patreon. And Jenna Thompson did that, and she was way up there. 9.5 Pedros, Baby Yoda heels, pterodactyls. The ending was amazing with Moff Gideon and all the stormtroopers coming out of the transport. I was so anxious the entire episode, and now I don't know how I'm going to go on until the 27th. I guess there's a movie coming up. I guess there is. Tomorrow. The Rise of Skywalker in theaters everywhere. All right.
Guys, or you can just wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and head on over to Disney Hollywood Studios to try to get in a boarding group.
There you go. Yeah. So, Elliot, we'll deviate from Mando for a second. Just have you gotten a vibe on how long the lines have been for that thing?
So both times that we went, you had to get there before 5 o'clock in the morning. And they just made a change today where they've added backup boarding groups. So if you don't get in the original boarding group, there's a chance to end up in a backup. However, if you're in a backup boarding group, there's no guarantee that you'll get in. So they've been doing a lot of it from friends that work there. The issue is that they're still trying to get the ride vehicle count up throughout the day to try to run as many vehicles as possible, but it sounds like they've been running the vehicles in California and then sending software updates to Florida, so both rides are working together to try to get that capacity up.
Wow.
And once they're fully at capacity, it will have the same ride capacity as the Smuggler's Run, so you shouldn't see super long waits, but nice. Who knows what they're going to do. But it's
also new.
Yeah, you got to get there early. It is an amazing attraction. It's like 3 rides in one. It's pretty darn crazy. So,
does the length of I know this is a Mandalorian show, but I'm excited about this ride. Does the length of the ride cause a longer line because because there's a certain amount of cars they have or something, or did they figure that out too?
No, so spoiler alert, if you don't want to know, now would be the time to not pay attention.
Just skip ahead.
It's you wait in line, you get on a ride, you wait in line, you get on a ride, there's a ride within the ride, and then it's over. So though it is an 18 to 25 minute experience, a good portion of that is waiting in line to get on the first ride and then waiting in line to get on the second ride. With
cool things to look at, I assume?
Yes, so yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool. That's kind of like the Falcon one, you get to wait in where the Dejarik game is and that sort of thing?
Yeah, they've done a really good job. You're in line, there's a pre-show, there's another pre-show, you get on a ride, there's a pre-show, and then there's a line, then there's another pre-show, which takes you to another pre-show, which gets you on the ride, and then it's over. So it's a lot of you're constantly moving, but it's a really neat experience. That reveal. I mean, everyone's seen pictures of the hangar, and the reveal of the hangar is absolutely breathtaking when you see it the first time, because you can't. The scope of that building, you just can't see in pictures.
Wow.
So,
and there's probably a lot of little Easter eggs and things to look at there.
Yep.
Just like there's a lot of Easter eggs in The Mandalorian.
I was
exactly.
Where are you going?
And there's been some episodes of the show, like the double dose Filoni one on Tatooine was just sock full of A New Hope Easter eggs and references. I didn't find a ton in this one, but let's go around and point out things we may have seen, and not just Easter eggs, callbacks or references to other things in Star Wars. One that I'll point out just has to do with Gina Carano herself. She's like pretty much literally MMA fighting right out of the gate in this episode, and she was a professional MMA fighter. She even got the guy she was fighting, who looked like the same species as Darth Maul, to tap out in the Mandalorian show. So that's kind of cool. So that's a reference for me there. Lacey, you got one?
So I didn't find much in this episode, to be honest, but the only thing I really found was there's a part where she's fighting the guy and he grabs the chain and he pulls her forward and grabs the chain and keeps pulling her. And it's very similar to the way they do it with Rey in The Last Jedi, where she's like attached and she gets pulled forward.
Oh, the guard?
Yeah.
Or like Leia and Jabba the Hutt.
Or that,
Yep.
yes.
Oh.
Good point. Good point. Elliot, any references or Easter eggs or things that you saw in this chapter that was the perfect episode of television?
The two things that just that I picked up on, the first one was the foldable sides of the TIE fighter. I never knew that was the thing.
Yeah.
Like anytime I've ever seen a TIE fighter in a hangar, like the wings were up and it was sitting on them, so it was weird to see that happen.
That was
and then it was really cool. I remember at Celebration they talked about they used a bunch of 501st folks for an episode, and obviously this was that episode because there were all of those very accurate stormtroopers in very clean white stormtrooper costumes.
Right.
I know one of the guys that was a stormtrooper. I didn't know I did, but he was there.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, this guy, Mark Edwards, who's a photographer, was one of the stormtroopers, and I've worked with him before at events.
Oh, cool.
He posted a picture of himself on the set, and I was like, wait, what?
Did you notice that scene has no Baby Yoda in it, so it was very easy to keep it from them.
Right.
Oh,
right.
that makes sense. Yeah, that's a good point.
How do you get like 25 people to not talk about that?
That's like someone was talking about how good those kids were in the Village episode.
Right.
That they didn't like go telling their classmates and stuff.
Well, Bryce trained them. She was like, "We're not telling people, right?"
I bet she did.
Yeah.
Elliot, it might have been you who told us that Filoni or somebody said that the 501st costumes were actually better than the ones that they had stock for the actual set itself, like the 501st
I think
guys.
that sounds like something Filoni said when they were in at Celebration. I think I remember that the director was like, "Hey, we need a bunch of stormtroopers," and he was like, "I know exactly who we can call," and then they all showed up. So
they must have been thrilled. Did they get mentioned in credits or anything, or a thank you? I didn't.
No screen credits. So
okay. Well, they don't get their.
They're there in spirit.
No royalties for the 501st. Just nerd bragging rights.
Hey man, you get to be in an episode of Star Wars. So there you go.
Trust me, I would play a doormat if I could in Star Wars. So that's fine with me.
Speaking of that scene though, there was definitely a really funny part where they're like, she's like kept going 4, and then they keep showing up like more and more. Like I laughed at that part. She's like 4. You said there were 4.
Right. It's like the amount of stormtroopers they add to the special edition of A New Hope when Han runs down the hallway, and there's just like 500 stormtroopers in the room. And there probably was 4 originally. Who knows? But another one, a small thing that I saw, because I really didn't see much else. Maybe I'm missing some, and let us know in the comments if we missed some. But the comm link that Kuiil has reminds me of the one that 3PO has in A New Hope when he's talking to Luke, who's about to get crushed up in the trash compactor. But.
Yeah, and that scene is very similar. The way that Mando's like, "Are you there? Are you listening?"
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, come in. Yeah.
I just want to know where all the stormtroopers came from. Like, did the Empire get defeated? Like, where did they find all these stormtroopers all of a sudden? And Death Troopers, like, where did they all come from?
Yeah.
And you're right. Why were they so clean? Like, these are fresh suits. Yeah.
And why is Gus Fring in every sci-fi TV
show? What's the new one you said off air that he's going to be in?
He's going to be in The Boys season 2. Like, he's in everything.
Is he a bad guy in that too?
Does he play anything else?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess not. Yeah.
Could think about it.
Lacey, do you have any others?
No, that was it. I mean, this one was... I had so much anxiety. I feel like I missed any references or Easter eggs. I was just so anxious.
Yeah. Elliot, anything else?
I mean, I have my favorite part.
Okay, we can get to that in a second. One thing
I didn't know there was a format to this. So
well, we try to keep it we try to keep it loosey goosey, but I try to like hide that I do have like a little format to it.
And then he also has a ride segment that he talks about the ride within the episode.
Got it. Okay, cool.
Well, instead of the ride, it's the giveaway. It's the Mando code. I got to do too.
All right, got it.
But one thing I thought I found a little that I disagreed with. I guess we can talk about it in the discussion, but I didn't like how Kuiil was like, droids are just an extension of whoever programs them, because I'm like, well, I don't see 3PO or R2 like that. They're like sentient to me, so that kind of bothered me. But anyway.
Can't wait to tell you what my favorite scene was.
Wait, you didn't say that was your favorite scene.
Yes, she did.
Did you? All right. All right, hang on.
Glad we have this format that we're locked
All right,
in.
Lacey, why don't we start with our favorite shots?
Yeah, Lacey, why don't
episode.
you tell us what your favorite scene was?
Yeah,
So,
your favorite
guys,
shot. Yes.
My favorite scene, first of all, the shot is the beautiful shot of, I'm going to mess up his name. I always mess up his, it's Kuiil, right? Kuiil? Like
Jordan
a Q?
Kuiil.
Nick
He's the
Nolte.
director of Us and Get Out. Yeah.
Kuiil and Mando outside, he's like feeding the blurg, and Mando comes up, and it's this beautiful wide shot, two-shot with the sunset in the background. It's just so beautiful. And then, but I enjoy how he tells Mando that droids are not good or bad. They're neutral reflections of those who imprint them. I enjoyed that. I thought that...
Okay.
I understand what you're saying, John, because then it like kind of downplays 3PO and R2's personalities. I get that. But I liked the idea of it being about they don't know how to be bad unless they're given the example to or programmed to, which then we see reflected in the next scene with Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
Or Tiny, as we call him, Elliot. We call him This Is Not Yoda. We call him Tiny.
Tiny.
He's not
Acronym.
Yoda.
Yeah.
Because then he does stuff in the next scene, which he's kind of picked up from being around these like ruthless people all the time. So that's why I liked it.
All right. That's fair. Hey, you know what? People are allowed to disagree in Star Wars, believe it or not.
Yeah.
That's
Perfect
a thing.
segue. Perfect
Yes.
segue.
All right. Elliot, did you have a favorite shot or moment in this chapter?
Oh, my favorite moment is Tiny flying the ship. Like, look at me, Dad. I love
That's
that.
true.
That's Tiny memes are basically kept my marriage alive while I was in California filming a bunch of stuff last month, and all we did was send them back and forth. So it was. I love watching my wife's face. It just cracked me up because, I just, in my head, I hear, "Mommy, wow, I'm a big kid now."
Yep.
And the noises
Like
he
this-
makes too, he's like, ah.
And then they put him back in the carrier, and he's still pushing buttons. So
Right.
I
Right.
love it. It's great.
Yeah, the a couple episodes ago where he does that thing where he keeps flipping the switches and then he looks to Mando to make sure, see if he's watching him. Is like, my son does that all the time. Like when he's
The meme of that with freaking Get Low is my favorite one.
Yeah.
My favorite.
That's the best insert of music since they did the throne room with The Last Jedi with all the songs. And now
Yes.
I think that's so cool.
There was an
Okay.
Africa one where he turns on Africa.
Toto?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Get Low is way better.
I know, but Pedro Pascal was like, I would never turn that off. That's what he retweeted.
Oh.
So
Was it retweeted by John Wayne's grandson?
no.
Because he's the one in every episode.
He's the one in the suit, yeah. Now does he gets he's credited, right? As stunts
Yes,
or
yeah.
All right. My favorite moment, I don't know, this is tough, but because I hate to say that I keep going back to Tiny, little Yoda here, but I think when Kuiil is like getting close to the Razor Crest and you see the troopers behind him in the distance and he's just cradling him in the little blue blanket. So there's something about that shot. I was so concerned that it stuck out in my head. And I don't know if it's that it's my favorite shot in a good way, but I think it was so impactful that it stuck out to me. So let's go with that one. Right before you see him by himself on the ground and you're like, oh my God, you know? So much dread there, but a good shot. All right, so before we get into just a general chat about it, I do have to give this week's Mando code number. Now, if you guys have been following along, we're giving away one number every week. And then next week, on the 27th, we'll give away the 6th and final number. And you'll have all 6 numbers in the Mando code, which aren't in a particular order. You're going to have to figure out what order it needs to be put in and email us at resistancebroadcast@gmail.com. So stay tuned next week for that. And the person who wins, the first person to email us with the correct code sequence, will win a electronic Boba Fett premium helmet from Black Series. So I hope you've been paying attention, and your mission continues right now. This week's number is 7. Jot it down, tattoo it on your hand, whatever you got to do. Figure it out. 7. Yes. Okay.
How'd you do it like that?
Like that.
That's how I would do it.
How do you do it? 3
7.
and 4?
5 and 2 is 7.
You don't do the peace sign?
No. You guys are weird.
What about just like a 7 with like that?
Yeah, if you count, it would be 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. That's how you count it.
All right.
Not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's whatever.
That is such a nitpick. How dare you? That's just for the visual audience there. Allie was doing hand tricks, and our audio listeners have no idea what just happened there. So you have to watch on YouTube to find out. Okay, now, just the episode itself. Elliot gave this thing a 10. I gave it a 9. Lacey gave it a 9. Patrons gave it a 9.6. It's obviously a big deal. Deborah Chow, her second episode, probably surpassed her first episode, which may be the second best episode of the season. So
how would you guys do 9? Like this?
9 is like a 1, and then an X, like Roman numerals.
I give up.
Okay. All right, so best episode of the season, Elliot, you gave every episode a 10, you said. So is this one like a higher 10?
I haven't found any episode that I've disliked, so it's everything I wanted and more. So every episode is, I haven't really seen one I didn't like. They all keep propelling the story forward, and I'm in. The only thing that was weird about this episode is there was no conclusion, and that thanks to the Wednesday release date, we have to wait even longer.
Right. True. 10 days. We'll have to get through Christmas, get through all that. And
I still, but then again, I'm a big believer they should have just released all of them at the same time. But
really? Oh,
I'm weird like that.
Yeah.
No.
I would have knocked it out one weekend.
Absolutely, the way it should be.
Stranger Things style. Are they making more Stranger Things, or are they done?
They got one more season.
One more? That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. So,
hey, but they're doing more Walking Dead too.
Oh God, I stopped after 4 seasons of that show. You still watch that show?
No.
Oh, I don't know anybody that watches The Walking Dead anymore.
You know what honestly. I do watch?
Mandalorian. Yeah. All right. So, Lacey, this is my favorite episode. Why? Because it's the group dynamic. You have people coming together and working together and that sort of thing. Kuiil meets Cara Dune, and then IG-11's a butler now, which is interesting. And Mando, his interactions with each of them kind of surfaces and how he relates to each one and tries to put it all together. And then the new antagonists get entered into the mix. And, of course, my favorite, Werner Herzog, back for a bit here. So this was hands down my favorite episode. I'm not a big, like you, Lacey, you point out director styles and stuff. I'm trying to get better at that. And I'll say this episode made me feel in certain moments, like especially towards the end, when it goes back from one group to the next in different spots and pans back and forth, like a Christopher Nolan scene that like your heart's in your like throat because you're like, oh no, go back to him. I got to see what he's doing instead of like leaving. That drives me nuts. And she obviously did it on purpose. So I want to hear your thoughts on Deborah Chow. I know you're already a big fan, but in this episode in particular.
Well, she did this with episode 3 too. She's really good at building tension with framing. So she'll start like wide and then get closer and closer and closer and closer to the point that, you're looking at him with the baby on the blurg wide, and then they get closer and then they get closer, and then you're just looking at the baby and you're like, oh my God, what's happening? That's the best pace. This episode, I think, had the best pacing for me because it built the tension in a way that I was so anxious, and then it just ends and you're like, wait, no, what just happened?
Right.
No, she's just very good. She follows the action very well. I didn't feel like there was any shot that was weird or out of place. She's just very good at what she does, and it just makes me so excited for Kenobi because I know she's just going to do an amazing job.
Yeah, she's on board to direct all 6 episodes, which is going to be great for visual continuity and that sort of thing.
Right, because the 2 best episodes have been hers.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Elliot, thoughts overall on this episode in particular?
I would love to tell you that I could tell the difference. They all feel like they're connected. They all seem shot the same. Like I'm not, I don't have any real, film school background, but I've just,
See, but that's really, a good thing though, that you're not noticing. That's a great thing. That's on purpose.
It all seems the same. The most amazing thing about it is there was one moment a couple episodes ago where we had read somebody was complaining about something online about something, and I was like, I think people forget that these aren't movies. This is a TV show. It's a television show. Right. This isn't, but some of the stuff you look at, like even in this episode, that shot of the TIE fighter, this is a TV show.
I know, and that thing folds down. Yeah.
That's a good point.
At the end of the day, and it's funny to know, like, the spots in LA they've been filming, and, I know that, got friends that are working on the 2nd season right now and things that they're doing, and it's just always amazing to me that this is a TV show. I mean, look at the Tatooine scenes, last week,
Yeah.
TV show.
Yeah,
so
true. And that whole volume thing that they're working in, I think when Clayton was on, he said he had spoken with people who had been working on the set in the 1st season in the studio and thinking that what they're looking at was tangible objects and sets and stuff, and then someone flipped a switch and everything disappeared, and these are people who are working on the show and they didn't know. Like, that's insane to me.
Like rocks and stuff were just gone.
Yeah. Like they thought they were set pieces and they're in the room looking at it, not like here's a video feed.
Right.
Like that's insane to me. So what they're able to do with that technology, like you say, they're making TV shows look like movies now. And it's just nuts.
I think this show has been a perfect blend between pushing technology and then also the practical stuff, which we all love Star Wars for. Like from the ship model stuff to puppets and other things.
Oh, for sure.
The reason people, I feel like, besides that it's super cute, connect with Baby Yoda so much is because it's that cute little puppet. Like, everybody likes that idea of it being a tangible thing and not just and
the
CG.
irony is you can tell it's a puppet on a TV budget because if you really go back and look at it, he doesn't really move a lot.
No, he doesn't. Yeah. When they pick him up, it's always so awkward when they pick it up. They're like...
He does like 6 or 7 facial movements, and that's about it. But but it's, the true, Disney animators always talk about the most important part of any character is the eyes, and that's the one thing, because of the size of the eyes and how expressive they are.
It's CG, yeah.
That's it. You're in. You're hooked.
It's funny because last week when we had Nick from Bayside on as our guest, he brought up a good point that there's an awkwardness when they're using the puppet for picking him up because it's very light, and they're just like, they don't know how to fake the weight, and when he falls down, it's just like a flat like bang, just not like a live thing would fall, and then they add the CGI where he rolls over, and it made me think of, like, do you guys remember like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air when anytime they would like throw Will or somebody would throw him, they would obviously use a full mannequin and it would just like fall on the ground. Like that's how I feel like when you see Baby Yoda just fall on the ground. So I think maybe it's done to be kind of campy in a way. Like, I mean, like we said, Clint Eastwood used the fake baby in American Sniper, and that was for award contention. So what the heck? But yeah, I mean, so Elliot, in terms of your boy Moff Gideon, our new bad guy, who's also in every TV show ever. What do you think about this guy's introduction?
I mean, there's not really a whole lot to know now. You're kind of stuck in a situation where, you know, I guess we're gonna find out what's going on in the next episode.
Yeah, yeah. Your dogs love it. That's good.
I know they're not a fan of him. You just mention his name and they're like, nope, we're out.
Yeah, he's out. No more TV shows for that guy, please. No more. Lacey, obviously, spoiler alert, Werner Herzog is likely no more.
Yes.
Yes. What's with everyone in Star Wars now getting shot right through like the chest?
I know, they don't even, it's just gone.
Is that because they don't want to show someone like getting hit in the face? Is it a TV-14 thing?
Because they don't have to show blood if it's in the chest.
Yeah, I guess so.
The moment you show blood,
100% why.
Yeah.
It goes up.
You never see any blood on the helmets of the stormtroopers that are, you know, clearly.
The only blood we've ever seen is the Finn blood.
The Finn, Finn's hand on the guy, yeah.
And that was almost a cartoon red.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So who shot him? It was one of the stormtroopers or
Those
death
are
troopers?
From the outside, yeah.
So it wasn't Mando.
No.
Because when I first saw it, I was like, I don't think he did it.
No, they shot from the outside.
And then you see the opening of the movie. Okay, so I just want to make sure. Maybe that was obvious, but to me at first, I'm not sure. So let us know in the comments if you were thrown by that, because I was a little bit. And my only gripe with this episode, and I love him, is Carl Weathers' dialogue honestly sounds like he's reading it off a cue card, like doing an SNL skit.
Oh, no. I didn't realize that.
Especially during the communication one at the beginning, which feels like it's the beginning entrance video of a video game level. Like,
yes,
okay,
I know
Mando, now you gotta go do the thing, and it just feels like he's on SNL reading a cue card to me. I don't know if
it might be some of the inflection that he's using, where he's just like, yeah,
could be. I don't know. I still love Carl Weathers, so I'll let it slide. But I was happy to see him back in the mix there, and he looks good for his age.
He does look great. And I actually loved the scene where he gets healed, because you see that moment where he's like, okay, I'm going to be honest, I was going to kill you, and now I can't.
Right.
Like, it's like that. I'm trying to think of a good example of a movie, but it's like every time someone comes in contact with Baby Yoda, they immediately are like, okay, I'm on team Baby Yoda. Like, let's do this. Let's protect this thing.
Yeah. He was going to, but the fact that he was going to screw over Mandalorian twice, and Mandalorian, like, bought the bait, in a sense, bothers me, because I thought Mando was supposed to be kind of like clever, like a Clint Eastwood type of guy.
I don't think so, though, because multiple times throughout the season we've seen him make big mistakes.
I know,
like they lead you on that, you know, there's episodes like the Bill Burr one where he's like killing everybody, right? Mm-hmm. But then there's well, obviously he didn't kill anybody, he threw them in a cell, but
right.
But then there are other episodes like the Mudhorn where he did everything wrong.
True.
I think he's just desperate to get into a place where he doesn't have to worry about this kid, that he's willing to take the chance to be wrong. And that,
perhaps. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I don't know. He's a little, I don't know, more vulnerable than I expected him to just be.
I would say
wreck house character. Like I thought he was gonna be like the Punisher or something, but
John Wick.
Yeah, like John Wick. Yeah. But he's, I don't know, maybe it's to get us to empathize with him more, I guess, you know, humanize him, especially since we're not able to see his face.
I think also it's showing you that the kid is changing him. Like in the beginning, he didn't care if someone was cold or warm or whatever. He's just going to kill you and bring you in. Now he's making mistakes due to his allegiance and loyalty to this kid, that he's now like, this is mine. This is my family type thing.
So what do you guys think about the force healing thing? Because that's new.
I'm interested because, you know, the Nick Nolte says, I've heard about this.
They never say Force. I was waiting for them to say it,
yeah.
and they don't say it.
That's Him and Mando both seem foreign to the Force.
Right.
In the Mudhorn, what is it called? Mudhorn?
Mudhorn, yeah.
Mudhorn.
The Mudhorn episode. They were like, yeah, we've heard of that, but I can't believe what I just saw, sort of thing. Kind of like Han Solo early on in his.
But they never say it. No one's saying it.
No, but the rock star in all of those moments right there is my man Ludwig with the music, because without the music in those scenes, I mean, that's my favorite part of the show has been the music. Because
that's been controversial, so I want to hear your thoughts on this.
Dude, you've got a dude in a helmet that you can't see any facial expression, so the only way to get tension is through camera shots and through music. You know, watch the scenes without the music. Star Wars has always been about music. I mean, think how lame that scene in Force Awakens would be between the interrogation scene where, you know, he's just waving his hand in front of Rey. Like, without music and sound effects, it's just this.
Or them in the snow as she grabs the lightsaber, them just standing there.
Yeah.
Like, she grabs it and just standing there, and then he's looking at her, and she's looking at, like, just silence.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's absolutely true.
I have to say the music, though, came around for me, because in the beginning, I did like the music, but there were moments that I was like, I don't know, this doesn't click right to me. But now I've realized that as the season's gone on, the music has changed slightly, where in the beginning it was very dirty, gritty tech type music. It's gone more into Heroes type theme towards the end of the series. Like, today's episode was very, like, heroic, like, we're going on an adventure. Whereas the first episode, I didn't feel that. I felt like it was, like, very, like, dark underworld. And I feel like that's Ludwig changing the music because the Mando is changing as a person. And I caught on with this episode specifically. I was like, oh, they're starting right with the heroic music from the beginning.
I thought they were gonna. I thought he was gonna maybe sprinkle or reference the Force theme there when he was healing him. I was like expecting to hear it, like just at least allude to it or something, but I don't think he did. Right. Yeah, I don't think he did.
I don't think until they flesh out that character, because I mean, all we know that this thing is a kid. We recognize it from the other TV shows, but imagine somebody that has never seen Star Wars that is watching the show for the first time. It's just some weird green dude with big ears.
But that's why it's so successful, because people are connecting with it that have nothing to do with Star Wars. Yeah,
that's true.
Well, because it's turned into the Mandalorian has been good because it's going back to the Disney fundamentals of story. If you tell a good story, and I mean, this is turning into that, that buddy road comedy, sort of thing that we're used to.
That's true.
This all of these stories that we've watched, these aren't new stories. Last week, the prison break, we've seen all of this stuff before in other things, but it taps that primal, storytelling gene inside of all of us. Where we're like, okay, we know what's going on. Like, we know what's happening.
Right.
It's everything is recognizable. So that's what, I think that's why people connected with Force Awakens, is because it's the story that we were used to and we knew what to expect. And, maybe that's why there are folks out there that aren't as big a fans of The Last Jedi, because the story doesn't necessarily follow, typical storytelling tropes that we're used to. But this show
that's fair.
Between the nostalgia and the little hidden Easter eggs and watching the score and the music develop, like, this show, again, I like I said earlier, my Star Wars cup is full. I'm good. I think I'm more excited to see where this show goes than going to the movie tomorrow night, because I definitely know I'm not going to get let down with this Mandalorian finale, and I don't, who knows what's going to happen tomorrow night? I don't know. You guys know. I don't know.
Could anything happen in the finale that would make you go, oh?
No, because I mean, it's when has Jon Favreau in his career ever let me down?
I mean,
if they kill Baby Yoda, that would let me down.
Yeah.
They're not going to do that.
I know they're not, but I'm saying that's the thing that would let me down.
That would really, like, that would mess me up.
Bob Iger would be like, I've got money on this, John. You keep Baby Yoda.
No, I think I think he's gonna talk.
That would be great.
I think they're saving that for the last episode.
Yeah.
He's gonna say something, and it's probably Mando.
He's going to say Mando?
Yeah, because they keep that's the one word that they keep referring to him as the entire time.
Right.
You know, I do know that, you know, they're definitely setting up the fact that the Mando is eventually going to have a sidekick that's a droid. It has to happen, because there's no reason this entire season they're going to keep bringing up the fact that he hates droids unless they're going to stick him with a droid next season.
And is it maybe it's IG-11?
I think it is, because they set it up with IG-11 being protective, and now that Kuiil is what we see is he's dead. I think he's gonna go into town and just wreck everybody, because he's like, "You killed my owner."
Lacey, speaking of which, I was like, "Oh, I see the ending of this episode happening," and I thought it was gonna be IG-11 mows down both those troopers. Kuiil gets on the ship and takes off, and it ends with them like.
Yeah,
and it didn't happen.
I think.
And what's the deal? Is he? You think he's dead?
I think he's dead. And
this is normal storytelling. Like, this is a story we've seen before. Like,
this is why he's dead, because they show his face. This is where I differed with Ming-Na Wen's character. They don't show her face. Therefore, you don't know if she's dead. Because they have him facing the camera, like Snoke is facing the camera, he's dead.
Okay.
And it helps move the story forward.
Yes, and IG-11 is now...
Yeah, there's all these pieces.
Yep.
And because there's no reason to have all that IG-11 stuff, that whole 5-minute interlude.
Why he's protective, yeah.
Exactly. There's no reason to have that if there's no payoff.
So
Kuiil, he's going to stick around, I think. I think your droid sidekick is going to be IG-11.
So that's Kuiil's gift, like lasting gift, as I set this up for you. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I liked that character, though, that old, wise little... down to earth.
Of course, but he has to die because it has to drive Mando. He's got to have that Uncle Ben moment where someone dies and he has to drive the character forward.
I was surprised he came back, because he fulfilled his story arc in that beginning episode. Like, the fact that he showed up again, I was like, okay, like, there's only 12 people in the universe.
Yeah.
No, IG-11, yeah. And
then I'm like, oh, Elliot, it's a TV show. Like,
I also liked how much he cared about his blurgs when they were trying to pick them up. He's like, get off her.
Yeah, the blurgs.
He's such a nice guy, Kuiil. Poor guy.
But that's what I'm saying. Like Spider-Man, Uncle Ben had to die for Spider-Man to really take on the role as a hero. He had to die. Right. And that's what we all know, like Elliot said, so they're going to show you it. So you go, no, not Kuiil.
And Uncle Owen had to die in Star Wars in order for Luke to say, I'm going to go with you and learn the ways of the Force.
That's true. I just really like Spider-Man.
Listen, Lacey, we have a...
So let's talk about this show, The Mandalorian.
Yeah, right, exactly, yeah. All right, so we have a tweet.
I'm not the only one that takes us off track.
Way off track, Spider-Man style. Rez at Real Rez Lou Dub.
With great responsibility.
Jeez.
That quote, like, where?
That quote, the guy whose tweet I'm reading is like, just read my tweet. That quote is used everywhere now. The great power responsibility. It's in car commercials.
Yeah, they use it too much. Yeah.
The legacy of Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man movie.
Stan Lee's like, no.
Yeah, I wonder if you think it's on his tombstone, maybe.
No.
Oh, I don't know.
I think it just says Stan Lee.
1901
to
1901? Was he?
I don't know.
He's 115 years old. Him and Palpatine went to high school together. All right, Rez at Real Rez Lou Dub. What's up, Rez? He said, so much Star Wars here, from Force Choke and Force Healing to more Herzog. Rest in peace. The Werner Herzog's not dead, just the client. The Death Troopers and a TIE Fighter were great, and having Cara Dune and Kuiil back to help Mando is perfect. Tiny needed to be captured to bring out the Mando in the Mando. So he's thinking, now we're looking ahead, that Mando's finally ready to really wreck some house because they took his boy.
Yeah.
Like the revenge, I love revenge stories. I love revenge stories. Like, I love Punisher, Death Wish. I love, like, you killed my family and stuff, and now it's go time. I love stories like that. So if Mando's gonna show up and start mowing people down, I am so in. So Do you guys think that's where we're going in this final one here? You think it's gonna be like just this all out, I'm gonna take you down type of thing?
Well, I think one of two things are going to happen. That's going to happen, or we're going to spend all next season trying to get Baby back.
Oh no!
I mean,
oh, jeez. I don't know. I'm curious if they cliffhang this series or not.
I hope not, but there is one shot we haven't seen yet that's been in the trailers, and it includes Giancarlo Esposito in The Mandalorian, and it's when he's flying the TIE fighter, and he flies up and pulls in his like Batman Gatling gun and then slams onto the top of the TIE fighter. I could see that being what Elliot said, where he takes Baby Yoda and he gets a jetpack, like he says in the beginning of the series, saying, I need to get one of those. He gets a jetpack, flies up there, tries to get him.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes. What did you see? Did you see a shot of him with the jetpack?
All together.
Right.
They don't show the jetpack because he's kind of far away, but he uses his little like rope thing to snap to it.
Do any
so
of
he
his
has to
action
get up
figures,
there.
Any action figures come with a jetpack that we saw? You know, Toys always leak stuff.
The Mandalorian doesn't come with a jetpack, but all the other, like the big infantry guy does.
But does his back
Look,
have the slots that you can fit one in?
Hey man, in true Favreau fashion, he's not going to say, I want one of those if it's not going to show up.
That's what I'm saying. He said it specifically.
Yeah, you're right. It's like the cheeseburgers line at the end of Endgame. Like they waited 13 years to throw that reference in there.
Cheeseburger line.
That made me very emotional. I'm not going to lie.
I know you said that.
I wasn't a big Endgame fan, but that part where the kid's like, I want cheeseburgers, and he's like, your dad like cheeseburgers too? Oh my God.
But you know what I am a fan of?
The
Mandalorian.
Mandalorian.
All right, so why don't we do our little final guesses here as how we think the series, the season.
I just did that.
No. Final like end of the season. Is it going to be a cliffhanger, or are we going to get a finality and then pick up, down the road type of thing?
Uh,
I'm going to let Elliot go first because he already has a really good theory, and I think you should just say it again.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I don't think you're going to get Tiny back. I think the whole next season is still trying to get him.
So you really think that? All right. Jeez.
It's one of two things. Either they wrap it all up neatly with a bow, or we chase after Tiny for a whole season.
Which would explain how they're already doing season 2, They were already like ready to go.
Yeah.
Dude, they're 4 episodes in already. They're halfway through shooting.
And they're doing 8 again?
Who knows?
Oh, yeah. Interesting. Do you think...
I do. I can confirm one of my theories because of what my friend does in the show, but I'm not going to throw him under the bus for that.
Fair enough.
I'm not going to even potentially get anybody in trouble.
No, that's
because I need that house to stay in when I go to LA, so that's very important.
There you go. Yeah.
I also don't want to be spoiled though, because like over the weekend I went to a wedding, and the guy that was at the wedding works for Disney Plus, and he's seen the whole series already. And I was talking to him about it, and he was like, "Oh, you like Baby Yoda? I got a suitcase full of Baby Yoda plushes." And I was like, "Of course I like Baby Yoda." And then he was like, "Oh, I've seen the whole series. Do you want to know what happens?" And I'm like, "No, I don't want to. No, absolutely not." So like,
yeah,
no, we don't want to know.
Right. I don't know anybody that knew anything. So how about that?
You know me.
Right. Yeah.
And
you know me. You know me. Do you guys think we're gonna see Pedro Pascal's face at all before this season is over?
No.
Do you think next season we will?
No.
Really?
I think they're going to make a third season.
Why would you make such a big deal about a Mandalorian never taking his helmet off if you're going to have him take his helmet off?
I don't know.
And it sure is a heck of a lot cheaper to be able to put anybody in that suit whenever they need it.
No, you're
absolutely.
right. No, you're right. All right. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that pretty much puts a bow on this one. Let's see. Where are we at? 1 episode left to go. All right, Elliot, any final thoughts?
With great power comes great responsibility.
There you go. Yeah. And every episode was a 10, not 10. A 9.
10.
Or a 7.
10.
A freaking 10.
Varsity Blues is up in here now, too.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Rest in peace, Billy Bob.
I don't want your life.
I don't want your life. I love that movie. That's a good movie. All right, Elliot, the music. So a lot of people have said they're wishy-washy on it. Why should people come around to Ludwig's music?
Because it's good. It's developing. It's organic. I mean, you know, you were never going to get John Williams because he's retiring. He's gone. And, you know, some of the other choices out there sound like John Williams. This doesn't sound like John Williams. It's totally different. It fits the mood of the movie. And, you know, it's very driving. It's very, you know, just it moves forward. It feels, you know, like you're riding a horse. It feels very like, here we go.
Okay.
I'm telling you, if you listen to the first episode soundtrack, which I might go do, and then listen to this past week, you're going to get notes of this week's in the first episode, and it builds as you go through the season. It was so crazy today when I was listening, and I was like, oh my God, it's like, it doesn't do the with little like tribal stuff anymore. It's all like Rocky hero stuff.
Right.
One of my favorite pieces is that piece with the Battle of the Mudhorn, because it's just this really dynamic sounds, and it was just unlike anything that I'd heard in Star Wars before, and I was like, oh wow, this is cool. And you know, it took a while for me to kind of get in on this sound, but I have put together 2 very cool little remixes. So
nice.
And you said, by the way, because we were talking off the show a little bit about the music, and you had said that Ludwig did this whole thing in his pajamas on his couch.
Yeah, that's the rumor that that I've heard is that he did it at home, and it's so funny because, you know, with, you know, music production has gotten easier to do, and it's just, you know, again, it's a TV budget, so I mean, I'm a huge fan. He's done a really, really great job, and I look forward to hearing more. It's nice. It would be really easy to put the Force theme in there. It would be simple. We know what it sounds like we know what it would do, but, you know, and maybe we'll hear some of that stuff, but I don't need it because what he's got works.
He's making it his own. Yeah.
At this point now, when you listen to it, you don't notice it's there, and that's how you know it's good.
And breaking the mold is huge because everyone's so used to that John Williams sound that was, like you said, sort of followed by Giacchino and John Powell, and now that they broke the mold, they can do a lot of things, and because people have accepted it. So I think that's a huge part of it too. And with great pajamas comes great composition. So there you go. All right, Elliot. You're a big social media guy. So where can people find you on Twitter and your website?
47 Twitter followers and 22 Instagram followers. The easiest thing is to go to djelliot.com and everything is linked from there.
Okay.
Where are you next, Elliot? What's your next thing?
New Year's Eve, I'm at Epcot. And then we start traveling next year, confirmed for Star Wars Celebration. So we'll be back there. We've got some very exciting things planned, and we'll be all over the place there. So, and it looks like potentially, fingers crossed, the return of the fan mixer. So that very exciting party that we had in 2015, it looks like we're trying to recreate that again. So that'll be
so
awesome.
pumped.
Nice.
By the way, Elliot, speaking of Celebration, this past year you brought me up on stage and you said that my favorite pizza topping was pineapple.
Yes.
And they recorded me on stage, and John was in the audio of the recording, and he just goes, "Oh God."
It's not the pineapple; it's the ham part that really. I don't know. Yeah, but
I lost, by the way.
Yeah,
I lost
It's
the
okay.
game show.
All right, Lacey, you're always winning on social media, though. So what is your everyone knows your social media handle. You're about to hit 7,000 followers, just booming.
You're making this
and
so
beaming.
weird.
Yeah, where are you at?
People can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Lacey Gilleran. And
Cool.
I just put up a bunch of videos and photos from the premiere, including stuff of John.
Me?
So you
Thanks.
check it out
That's
on my
so cool.
Instagram.
All right. Yeah, I got to hug and hang out with Chewie for like the first time, and not like.
But you froze with Bob Iger.
I did. Yeah. Had my Make Solo 2 happen.
Why?
Tie on.
Why would you freeze with Bob? Like,
Well, yeah, because I don't know him like you know him probably.
He's like the nicest guy. He's just
So
like,
the best the best thing, Elliot, is before that, he's like, if I see Iger, I'm going to say, make Solo 2 happen. I'm going to show him my tie. And I'm like, okay, do it. That's awesome. So then we see him in the tent at the premiere, and I see him, and I'm like, this is the moment. And I look at John, I look back, and John looks, and he just goes, and Bob walks right by him. Like, they brushed shoulders. He could have just been like, my tie, and he didn't.
My white whale. Bob Iger. One day, Bob. One day.
We can you want to text him? Like, we can make a... No.
We'll talk, Elliot.
But the best is we were talking to Matt Martin later that night, and Matt was like, he would have loved that if you said that.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Well, the I don't want to know if I name his name or not, but the event guy said Chewie would very much like my tie, and then I took a photo with Chewie, and there you have it. So, and I think
random dude in that suit really wants Make Solo 2 happen.
Look, you're trying to be funny, but I think he meant a little more.
Some guy making $15 an hour.
Right. A very
tall dude.
Local college basketball player.
Probably somebody that spends time with Goofy down at Disneyland, 5 days a week.
Yep.
For sure. All right, guys, you can find me on Twitter, not talking to Bob Iger, at Johnny Hoey. Thanks to Star Wars Newsnet. Go to StarWarsNewsNet.com every day for your Star Wars news, reviews, editorials, information, and more. You can see me, Lacey, and James on the Resistance broadcast every Monday and Thursday on our YouTube channel, and also Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, all those things. So subscribe wherever. I want to thank our patrons. We're coming towards the end of the year. It's been a great year. The reason why this show exists is because you guys support us. It takes a lot of time and effort. Lacey's about to go hammer out the edit on this thing and get it up for you guys. So patreon.com/Resistance Broadcast. Thank you all for your support, especially our generals, Carmelo, Brian Cholito, Andrew Staley, Neil Lowry, Jeremy Myers, Neil Shaw, David Probus, John Risi, JG Carr, Seth Kine, Micah Harrison, and Val Trichkoff. Thank you very much, generals. Next Friday, not this Friday, next Friday, 12/27, we're going to have Jeff Lowe on from Lights Camera Barstool, and we're going to talk about Chapter 8, the finale for Season 1 of The Mandalorian, so we're excited for him to join the crew. So thanks for watching, listening, being Mando Fandos with us here on the Mando Fan Show, and we'll see you next Friday. So until then, we'll see you around, kids. Thanks, Elliot.
Bye.
Bye. With great DJs come great episodes.